good people, how you doing? David Taub here, co-creator of NextLevelGuitar.com. Hope all is going well, and I hope your guitar and musical journeys are going famously. Today I have another FAQ, or Frequently Asked Questions video, where we answer email and YouTube questions. I love doing these videos and love answering your questions and sharing information here on our YouTube channel. And please, if you have questions or follow-up questions, send me your questions at thenextlevelguitar@yahoo.com, and be sure and put question for David in the subject line. And as always, of course, you can leave a question below. As many of you know, my original band, Mindcell, we have a new record coming out, and I've been working on it a while, and it is done, completed, mixed, mastered, and released. And I am so excited to share it with everyone, and I really hope you can give it a listen, and I really would love to get your feedback, insights, opinions on it. Let me know, what you think of the guitar tones or the effects, or how I got this, studio sound, or let me know what you think of the mix or the production or the songs, right? I think the songs are really strong. I am so proud of this project. I think it's some of the best music I've ever written. And I'll put links to where you can get the record below. And before we get rocking on your questions, remember, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribing to this channel really helps us to keep bringing the content, right? And also will alert you to when we have a new video up. Leave a comment below, and let us know how you like these. Let us know again if you have a question, or maybe what gear you'd like to see reviewed, or what lessons you'd like to see coming up. Also, if you like the video, click the like button, give it a thumbs up, share it, and I so appreciate your support. Question from John S. John asks, David, I struggle with how to properly set up an amp for the first time and then dial it in for blues, country, etc. Thanks, John. I hear you on your struggles and challenges, John, and I get that question a lot from a lot of students about first time setting up an amp. And there are certainly some things that you could do to make it a little bit easier. It's a challenging question because there's so many different amps out there. Are you going for a good clean channel? Are you going for a good distorted channel? Is it a tube amp? Is it a solid state amp? Does it have a shared EQ for each channel? Which channel are you using? So it's a lot of information. If you have a specific amp that you're struggling with, you can email me the information and I could talk to you just about that. But some general things, I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to put a link to a couple lessons below on how to get a basic, really good blues sound and a really good basic classic country sound. So I'll put those links below. Check those out. One of the main things to keep in mind is if you're going for a basic, overdriven sound or dirty sound, and you're using pedals, right? For that, remember, put that overdrive pedal in front of the amp. So you're going to run your guitar cord out of your guitar into the input of your overdrive pedal, whatever it is. And then from the output of that, go into the front of the amp input, right? Don't put it in the effects loop, because you want to push that amp a little harder, and that's what you want to do. Turn the gain down on the pedal and the level up. Another really good tip for getting a good sound at first, right? Gain down, level way up, and that's going to push that amp and slam it harder, right? To give you that really good overdriven sound. If you're going for a good clean tone and using pedals, the first thing you have to have is a really good clean sounding amp, right? Because you're going to run those pedals mostly through the clean channel. So you want to have your clean channel set up really well. I like to start with the the EQ, the bass, the mids, the treble, presence, 12 o'clock, and then I start adjusting them from there. Depending on what speakers in the amp or what speakers you're using, a lot of times I bring the bass way down. A lot of times, guys crank that bass way up, and what it does is it makes your sound very woofy and loose and not tight at all. A lot of amps don't respond well to all that bass, right? So I tend to turn the bass down and the mids up. A lot of mids, sounds like you want that blues country sound, so you're not going to be like scooping your mids like in a metal band. So if you start at 12 o'clock and then season the taste from there. The other thing too is there's a lot of amps on the market that are kind of, not that great and sound kind of crappy. So if you're trying to get great sounds from a crappy amp, it's going to be challenging. But there's a lot of great sounding amps out there, and before you purchase an amp, you want to really do your research and I have videos on that, and I'll put some links below on how to finding that, killer amp. But check out the basic blues tone, the basic country tone from those videos below, and then let me know if you have any other questions. Those are really going to help you get your tone dialed in at first, just that basic sound, and then you build from there. That's the thing. You don't want to start off with all these pedals. You don't want to start off with all these effects, and you want to really funnel things down to the most basic level. Get a really good clean tone or a really good overdriven tone with that pedal in front of the amp, and then go from there. Got an email from Kevin I just wanted to mention, more of just a thank you. Kevin writes, "Hey David, just got to say how good your series of FAQs is. I'm learning a whole bunch of things I should have known years ago, but it's never too late to readjust and progress from there. So thank you so much. Great tuition, Kevin." So I just wanted to send a shout out to Kevin, and I wanted to say thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that, and I love hearing students' feedback. I love hearing the good and the bad, right? Constructive criticism. But when you take the time and you write in and you say such nice things, it really makes my day, and I really appreciate that. I'm so glad you like the lessons. And what you say is really important. And basically, what it is you can't learn less, right? I'm learning new things still every day. I've been playing a long, long time. I've been playing, 20, 30 years. I'm still finding new, interesting ways to bend strings. There's so much to learn. It's limitless on this beautiful, wonderful instrument, right? And if you'd like a killer practice tool that I think is invaluable for the practicing guitarist, I'll send you my Jam Track Coach for free. 6 killer sounding tracks. But not only do you get the tracks, but I also pair that with 2 ebooks. In one ebook, I go over the tracks one at a time and discuss, what scales and modes you might want to try over them and why they work, the real important information that's often left out. And then in the other ebook, if you're not familiar with the scale, I diagram all the scales out, right? So it's really a great practice tool, and it'll really help you along in your journey. And we're talking about things like this a lot in this video. So click on that link below and I'll send you my Jam Track Coach for free. Question from Michael G. "Hi David, love the Q&A. Thanks for doing it. I'm looking for insight on how to make solos more interesting. In particular, I'm wondering your thought process when you have a chord progression that allows for multiple scale mode choices. It would seem being able to utilize different sounds colors tastefully would yield the most interesting solos. Do you agree? If so, any tips on how to do it well versus just throwing in the kitchen sink just to show you could do it would be appreciated. Mike." Sure, I can help you with that. And yeah, I do agree that trying to find interesting, different, scales over certain chords and adding different colors can make your soloing sound more interesting and more sophisticated for sure. So yes, so a couple quick general things to keep in mind is remember when you're planning out a solo, and I'm gonna go over my process, right, throughout this, answer to help you with this. So bear with me. Basically, when you're soloing and improvising, you have 2 choices if you want to look at it like that. You can solo over one, what relates to all. What that means is, let's say you're playing a chord progression, E minor to B minor, right? Let's just say. Okay, so you're in the key of E minor. So that means what relates to all is you're in the key of E minor to B minor, so you could use E minor pentatonic and blues over both the chords. Or if there was 5 chords in that progression, you're using the same scale, E minor pentatonic and blues, over all the chords. It relates to all. Or maybe you're using the E natural minor scale over all the chords. But no matter what chord you're on, using that same scale, that relates to all, right? That's one way of soloing. The other way, another way, is you could solo with what I call treating each chord as a separate event. What that means is you take each chord and you treat each one separately, playing a different scale or different mode as it relates to each chord. So over the E minor chord, you might try E minor pentatonic, or E natural minor, or E Dorian mode, right? But when the chord changes to that B minor chord, you stop what you're doing in E minor and you then go into something that relates to that B minor chord, like B minor pentatonic and blues, B natural minor, B Dorian, right? And then when the next chord comes up, whatever that might be, you kind of stop what you're doing there and play something that relates to that chord, right? So this yields a much more sophisticated sound, and I think that's kind of where you're going with this question. Notice I didn't say better, because one's not necessarily better than the other. It's different sound, and you want to find what sounds best to your ears. And often, you're right, you'll have different modal choices, like you can use, natural minor, or maybe you could use Dorian, or maybe you could use Phrygian. So you want to experiment with what sounds best to your ears. And I say this a lot, but it comes down to studying the relationship between chords and scales. That's so critical in your guitar journey, and that's what goes into my soloing so much. I kind of practice playing chords, playing scales over them, seeing what sounds best to my ears, what I like best. Now, treating each chord as a separate event is a lot more challenging and difficult than just soloing over what relates to all, because you got to kind of listen to the chords going on underneath and then kind of change what you're doing in a way that doesn't sound very disjointed. I just stop what I'm doing there and then play something here in a different key that's totally disconnected. You have to have ways to connect that, and I can help you with that. I have a lot of lessons about that. But the main thing is it just takes practice, and you could practice that using jam tracks. It's a great way to do it. So pick up my jam track coach like I talked about earlier, right? Put that link below in the YouTube description box, because I send you the tracks, but then I send you the ebooks which tell you each track, what are the chords, here's what you could try over them, see what sounds best to your ears, give it a try, and why it works. So learning that is so important. It all comes down to the chords, right? What are the chords underneath? That's how you can really get deep into this. Knowing the key is only a small part of it. It's the chords that give you the full roadmap to what you can use soloing and improvisation wise. And if you want to hear this applied, check out my new record. Shameless self-promotion, my apologies, but my new record with my original band Mindcell, like I spoke about earlier, in the solos to those songs, some of them, depending again, what the chords are and what emotion or what I want to get across, I'm changing. I'm playing over the chords independently, and then a couple times I'm, treating the solo part, treating the chords as what relates to all. A lot depends too. If the chords are moving really fast and changing fast, you're not going to have a lot of time to play over each one independently. So you kind of do more of what relates to all in that instance. But if you check out the solos in my record, you'll see me, or you'll hear me changing a lot of what I'm doing over a given chord, and I'm using tons and tons of modal playing. I tend not to use the pentatonics as much, even though I love minor pentatonic and I do use it. I'm generally more drawn to the modes, because I like having the modes of the major scale. Those are the things: Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, right? Those Greek names, they kind of can give you a different mood, right? Each one has a different mood. So I like that. I like using them as a ways to convey emotion and mood, and I like playing in them. And I like the diatonic scales, the 7-note scales. But occasionally I do use minor pentatonic. And on the record I do use it because sometimes it's nice just to do some simple, killer kind of pentatonic riffs. So I like to mix it up, use all the tools in the arsenal. And then of course, like you mentioned in your email, you don't want to throw everything and the kitchen sink into every solo just to show that you could do it. And you certainly don't want to throw everything in right at the beginning of a solo and kind of shoot your load right off the bat, because where are you going to go from there? So you have to kind of use restraint, and you have to kind of build your solos in a way that kind of matches the song. That's real important. We sometimes forget that, you play for the song, not for yourself, because in the end, right, it's the song that's going to be remembered. If you put together the greatest solo ever, right, but it's in a really crappy song, no one's going to hear it, no one's going to remember it, right? So in the end, it's the song that's remembered. So you want to play for the song. So depending on the song and depending on the mood you want to create and the emotions you want to go for, you want to build that solo up. Start slow, have it like a song within a song, have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then you can throw in all the, the flash, in little bits and pieces. That's generally what I tend to do too. I'm telling you a lot about me because you asked me about my process. I the flashy stuff I kind of throw in quick, a lot of legato stuff I use, kind of getting in and out of it, but a lot of bending, a lot of emotions, a lot of really milking each note for all that it's worth. I'll put some links below to soloing and doing some solos, what I'm kind of talking about here, my process. I'll put some links. Be sure to check those out below. Those will really help you. Get that Jam Track coach, click on that link, right? And using the jam tracks, use those for musical application, and let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Question here from Pat M. Hi David, hope all is well and thank you for your great programs. I have a book at home that has 25 12-bar blues solos in it. The solos are good, but the licks used are not as good as the ones you and your guys present in your lessons. Do you have complete solos made up that put various licks together? In other words, examples of how to do this. I do realize we use our own creativity. I'm starting to sound the same and not sure what licks to put together to sound interesting and worth listening to. Thanks, Pat. Totally can help you with that. Yes, I do have some lessons that we cover like a whole solo and break it down into bite-sized pieces. And it's important to know, what scales you're soloing, you're using as the building blocks and why they work over certain chords and, how to use them and then how to take those licks and do musically interesting things with them, right? Add vibrato, add slides, string bending, all the things to give the notes emotion, right? And taking those notes and adding these techniques to make it interesting and fun for you and interesting for the listener, right? I'll put some links below to some lessons I have that will help you with that, okay? So watch those lessons. The other thing is grab my free jam track coach that I talked about, because that will give you application practice, because in that coach I send you jam tracks, but I also send you written lessons for each track, how and what to try over it and why it works. So that's how you kind of want to study it. Also, I'll put the lessons in there which teaches you about building licks and how to start attaching them together, or phrasing. That's what kind of phrasing is called, attaching your licks in a way that makes musical sense. So I can help you with that. And a lot of it comes down to, at first, obviously knowing some scales, but studying the relationship between chords and scales, because it's all about the chords. Right? What chords are you soloing over? You always want to know. I say this all the time. It's the chords that give you the complete map to what you can use soloing and improvisation wise, right? The key is only a small part of it. You really want to know the chords and studying that relationship between chords and scales and which sound best to your ears as far as what scales you like over which chords. That's invaluable, and that should be a part of everyone's practice. And I'll put some lessons below that'll help you with that. And the winner for this FAQ series is Michael G. Michael asked the question about getting different colors for soloing and the process of soloing. And I put some email links below for you to really dig into those lessons. I hope you like them, Michael. Watch for your email inbox. I'll email you and you can tell me what next level swag you would like. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. I so appreciate your support over the years and years and years. Keep the questions coming. Remember, you can email them to me at thenextlevelguitar@yahoo.com. Don't forget to put question for David in the subject line, right? Please remember, subscribe to the channel. That really helps us to keep bringing the content and notifies you when we have new lessons out. Like the video, share it. Please give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget, click that link below and get that free jam track coach. Such a great practice tool. I'll send you 6 free jam tracks and 2 ebooks. It'll really help you along your lead guitar journey. Get it for free by clicking that now. And huge news, my original band, Mindcell, our new record just dropped. It's on most digital platforms right now. I'll put all those links below, and then soon it will be on CD, and I really want your opinion on it. I'd love your feedback, insights, your thoughts on the guitar tones, on the overall mix, the production, the songs, how I got the sounds, or if you're interested in any of the studio workings that I did with the mixing or mastering or recording, certainly let me know that too. Would love to hear from you. I'm David Taub, co-creator of Next Level Guitar. Thank you so much for watching and your support over the years and years and years. You guys and gals rock. Keep up all that hard work on that guitar. And remember, your guitar playing is an evolution. See you in the next lesson.